comedian Jim Norton joins us in studio here on KROQ.
Thank you.
Hi, Jim. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
You are an intense mother effer.
Oh, thank you. Is it you mean it in a good way or in an awful way?
In a frightening way, in a way that I'm glad I'm not in the same room as you.
I don't think we've decided yet.
Yeah, people kind of don't know how to feel about me. Like, is he an aggressive jerk or is he just kind of passionate? And it's a little bit of both, I guess.
I don't know if you're watching that Orange is the New Black on Netflix. Have you seen any of that?
No, I heard it's really good, though.
It is.
It's great. They're a character, a female inmate named Crazy Eyes, and I think you're the male equivalent. I think you're kind of Crazy Eyes. I look at you and I go, I don't know, man. He could be the coolest guy in the world, but he looks like he could kill.
And I also blink a lot. Like, I'm really uncomfortable to look at for long periods of time because my left eye, I've twitched for many years, and it's I always see Jay Moore. He's always very happy to remind me that Jay Moore, if you have any physical flaw, is really happy. It's humiliating.
To remind you that exists.
Oh, he's the worst. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I'm friends with him for 20 years. Like, every time I see him, he reminds me of something horribly physically wrong with me.
Why did he tweet out a picture of you wearing a gas mask or something?
That's my sleep apnea mask.
Oh.
I did his podcast the other day, and that's what I sleep with, or I try to sleep with.
Right.
Every night you put that on, Jim?
How do you sleep with that?
I don't. I'm an insomniac, and I have apnea, and it doesn't work. So I try to sleep with that, and then I wind up throwing it off and just laying there with a mouth guard in. It really is torture.
Wow.
That stinks.
But sexy, though.
Yeah, I figured the best is to sleep with somebody and then put it on after just to punish them.
Right.
Like, look at who you just slept with.
I'm Bane.
Now for folks who right, exactly. For folks who aren't familiar with the sleep apnea, a lot of people have it. But tell people what it is it does to you, Jim.
It's when you wake up gasping for air. It's like a lot of people snore, and it's like you wake up like that.
You stop breathing.
You stop breathing.
Yeah.
And you don't ever feel rested. You can die. That's what Reggie White died of. It's great. I'm turning my appearance into a PSA for sleep apnea. All kidding aside, guys, be careful. Yeah. But it can kill you.
You never get a good night's sleep because you're never allowed to get into that good REM sleep or something like that because you're always waking up before you get there, right?
Yeah, it's terrible, man. And plus, I can't sleep because I literally, when you're online and you're like looking at porn, it really does mess the wiring in your brain up, and it's like you try to sleep and your brain is like, and so when I finally fall asleep, I wind up waking up. So I'm always tired. I mean, doing this for a living, even I'm exhausted every morning.
I'm amazed that you have been able to be a working, functional comedian for as many years as you have, because you are the very definition of the tortured artist.
I don't know,
you seem miserable.
Sometimes, yeah, but I mean, it's. I tend to focus on the negative, but I really am happy with the way things are going. It's like you always want more, but I'm grateful for my life. I mean, I'm sober, and there's a lot of things I'm very grateful for. And I see guys, like, I like the fact that I have a work ethic, and I'm not lazy. Like, I like to work, and I like to come out and do press. So I guess I do come off as probably more miserable than I am. I should probably express my gratitude more, because I think I'm a lot happier than people expect.
But happy's not funny.
You know, it very rarely is, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Who wants to hear a comic on stage? Guys, the relationship's terrific. Boo.
Oh, my kids are beautiful. I got the best house you ever saw and my new boat. Let me tell you about that.
But nobody wants to hear that because it's like, not that you have to force angst, but to be comic, I find focusing on the negative, because then there's some kind of a controversy. There's something to talk about. Nobody wants to hear you bragging about how great your life is.
That's true. Then you're just Jay-Z.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that's amazing. That's what comedians and rappers are so opposite. If you're a rapper, you got to talk about all the girls and the bling and the money. If you're a comic, you just talk about how you have none of those things.
Right, sure. This is the voice of Jim Norton here on the Kevin and Bean Show. By the way, his new comedy special is called American Degenerate, and that's going to be premiering next Friday, August 23rd on the Epix channel. We'll talk some more about that in a minute. You mentioned you're sober. How long has that been, Jim?
Since February the 1st, 1987. I was 18 when I quit.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. It's like, I guess
you wised up early.
At what age did you start?
Really young, 13 or 14. I only had a few years of it, but my father's sober, so I kind of always knew about recovery, and I was a disaster fast. Like, I was like a little. My ex-girlfriend told me that I was like an emo lesbian when I was a teenager, and she's like, "That's what you were like in the '80s," and she was right. Wow. I was a cutter before it was fashionable. You know, it was all attention-seeking nonsense.
Right.
But I think that I focused on the real.
Like, you don't have enough problems as a teen.
Right.
To add alcoholic, was that alcohol?
Oh, yeah, and drugs. But I preferred booze above all of it.
Sure.
I like that crashing down, drunk feeling. And I admire people who can function drunk. I just couldn't do it. Are you like that? Can you do it?
Sort of. Well, Not well.
Function in quotes with Kelly.
Ralph can do it well.
Yeah, he can.
But I'm amazed at the level of maturity must have had to make that decision and have it stick at 18, because I would think that most people who try to get recovery that young, when they get to be like 20, 21, they think, well, I've grown out of it by now. I'm going to be fine. Now I'm in college or whatever. Now I have friends who drink. I can try it. But you never went back?
No, not once. And it's just, I got very lucky. I did the right things. I did what they suggest you do when you're getting sober. And like by the time I was 21, I started stand up, and I was 3 years sober. And I'm like, what they started to tell me was coming true, that your life's going to get better and that you're going to find all this happy. And it started to happen. Like, my dream was to be a comic, and I started. And, it's corny, but, hey, look, I got everything they told me I was going to get. So, I mean, I'm very
corny.
grateful for that.
So what? As long as you're getting what they promised you get.
Yeah, man. It's like, and too many guys I know, like you see guys like Geraldo, who is so brilliant and so funny, or all these guys that just are dead years before they should have been dead. And it's like, how many funny things did Mitch Hedberg have to say that are unsaid, or Geraldo, or how many great comics, So it's really, you watch all these talented people nosediving, and then back to sleep apnea. Jesus, what a depressing guest I am.
You never went back to finish high school, though, right, Jim?
No, I got a GED at 3 years sober, and I went to college very briefly. I went to a semester of community college, and I got a B and 3 Fs. I got a B.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that was the B is the highlight. The 3 Fs were expected. But yeah, I wanted to be an attorney when I was in high school. I saw Injustice for All, but it was a performance desire. Like, Pacino's giant, that big moment where he attacks John Forsythe verbally. I wanted that. So
you on stage is sort of the same thing.
It is the exact same thing, except I'm not the glory of just bringing down a judge. I wanted that, so stand-up kind of functions.
Were you standing in front of the mirror? You're out of order. Were you that guy? Were you like imitating and everything?
Dude, it's humiliating. I used to audio record on a cassette tape.
Do you have those?
I think I do somewhere, not myself, but Profanity from movies, like scenes from Stir Crazy or scenes from Used Cars with Jack Ward and all these great comedies and Kurt Russell, and I would just reenact these profane scenes. Like, I loved the power of that language.
I wonder about that, Jim, because your act is among the filthiest acts that's currently working in America.
Parts of it are, yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very, very liberal use of swear words. You turned it into an art form, my friend. And I'm wondering what the attraction is, because it sounds like it started very young for you. And by the way, let me give you a compliment on top of that by saying you're on terrestrial radio, which you rarely are right now, and you're doing great.
Thank you. Yeah, I almost never get dumped out of, because I'm hypersensitive to what, not just the FCC stuff, but the other stuff that can get you in trouble, because we dealt with it. So I know, like, when comedians would come on, they think if they just don't drop an F-bomb, they're fine. And it's like, man, there's so many other things.
It's a lot bigger than that.
Oh.
Eddie F gets us in trouble every time he comes on
Every
the show.
time he comes in, he says something.
It's like, dude, that's a body fluid. You can't. You know what I mean? They just I understand. So
what do you think your fascination is with the F word and with all the swears? I mean, did it start for you as a little kid? Was it just that it was verboten in your home and that's why you became attracted to it?
They're powerful words. Like, they're sounds, or there's something to them. And I don't use them, like, I try not to use them. Like, Pryor said that he would use MF a lot of times, overuse it to where he shouldn't have. And I never forgot that he said that, so I try not to use profanity unless it helps the joke. But if I feel like a joke is weak, my mind just throws it in, and then the job is to take it out. Because I do Leno a lot, and it's like, you can't drop that stuff.
Right.
Although you get away with edgier content on Leno than you think. Like, the stuff they've let me fly through with is amazing. The bestiality, like things I never thought I would have got through.
Wow.
So, but you just, obviously you can't curse.
It's an absurd system, though. I mean, we have lawyers here, and we find ourselves in arguments over whether you can say asshole or not, and when it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate, and there's so many ridiculous.
And you can say some things once, but you can't say them twice. For instance, I mean, Jim's on the Opie and Anthony show. For folks who don't know, now very successful on satellite, but for many years you guys were on terrestrial radio.
Yes.
So I'm sure you had the exact same fights that we had year after year after year.
Is there anything more vomit-inducing than a lawyer trying to explain contesting rules?
No.
Oh, it's the worst. Well, you can't lead up to it, because then everybody, right, I heard you.
Yep.
They're the worst. They're the worst, and they're overprotective. And it's funny how, and this is all corporations, but they never blame the attorneys if the ratings aren't the same, because they take away every contest you can do. They take away everything honest you can talk about.
Yep.
They only blame the on-air talent because, I can't tap dance on a lily pad and make the word woo-woo funny to the average driving trucker.
The best thing about attorneys we've found, and then we're going to take a break with our guest Jim Norton here on the Kevin and Bean Show, is when they explain comedy to you, first of all. And the other part is when they make it sound like we're idiots because what they're asking us to do is so easy that anyone can do it. You know what I'm talking about? That attitude where they're like, why can't you understand? This is so black and white.
And then they'll say, sign this piece of paper. You completely understand it. And we do the same thing every time. This is unclear.
Yeah,
we write it on the piece of paper. This is unclear, and then we sign our names. It's just absurd.
Great, man. You put that little asterisk in there because they want you to sign it because they're so litigation obsessed. They really are unfun people, and they're obsessed with getting themselves out of trouble and indemnification. And it's like, oh, what do you do when you go home at night? Do you have sex with your wife, or do you just talk to her about it and then you both roll over? They're the worst.
All right, the very funny Jim Norton in studio with us here on the Kevin and Bean Show. We'll talk some about the special called American Degenerate. That sounds like an appropriate name. It's airing next Friday night, the 23rd on Epix. We'll be right back on KROQ.
I am now worse off having heard
Kevin and Bean
than I was before.
KROQ.
The special is called American Degenerate. It debuts next Friday night, the 23rd on Epix. It says here, by the way, that you are a New York Times best-selling author. Is that true, Jim? Why have I not heard about that?
I wrote 2 books. I wrote, one was called Happy Endings and one was called I Hate Your Guts, and they both hit the list.
Good for you.
Yeah, I was happy with it, man. I was shocked. But I was very, very happy that people enjoyed them. The second one I released on the day of Obama's election in 2008. So it was a technical thing with Barnes & Noble. It helped me get the front tables, but I think that hurt it a little bit because I'm in nonfiction competing with Maya Angelou and all these books on Barack Obama and the first black president. You know what I mean? So I was happy to make the list at all there.
You are, I understand that you are very happy with this new special that's going to debut next week. Like, you don't always say that about something you've just finished, but this one you're still pretty psyched about.
Yeah. Normally I hate everything I do, and I edit it. I have to watch it, and then like Monster Rain I shot in 2007. I haven't watched it since. Like, I'll watch it to edit, and then I'm finished.
It just drives you crazy to watch it again? Or?
I see every flaw. I hate my fat face. I hate my blinking eye. I'm like, oh, you bullfrog-necked idiot. But this one, and I'm not just saying this to sell it. I was really, really happy with it, and I get like, because Epix is a weird network. Like, they totally allow the artist a tremendous amount of say, which most networks don't give you. And they're hands off, man. They were like, as long as there's nothing that's going to get us sued or that we think is completely horrendous, do what you got to do.
Wow.
And they allowed me to do that. And you can see it on epixhd.com if your provider doesn't have Epix. And you can sign up for a free trial and watch it. And I'm extremely happy with this one. So I hope people like it. And that's
people are going to like it.
Thing to say. Hope you like it, guys. But I'm so bad. I'm such a bad pitch man for myself. I never know what to say. Like,
what kind of stuff do you talk about on American Degenerate?
A lot of, I address the new pope. I talk about my own sexual deviance a little bit. I attack the press a lot. John Travolta's troubles. I talk about my own massage experiences. And, a lot of, I do give a lot of advice on making a regular massage a happy ending. And I also talk about my sleep apnea and stuff like that.
You talk about your sexual dysfunction, and this is one of the most fascinating things, and I apologize if you get tired of people asking you about this, but you're addicted to masturbation, Jim?
Well, I mean...
Who isn't?
Yeah, exactly. In the way that most people are addicted to eating and breathing and smiling. Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's dysfunction. Like, it's just obsession. It's just... I was talking the other day about it's like zoning out. It's like any other dopamine drip you give yourself. It just becomes this thing. It's like I'm not even feeling sexual right now. It's like when obese people eat when they're not hungry.
Right.
It's like, what am I doing? I'm just shoving pie in my face. You just do it because you need comfort, or you just need that little weird zone out high you get, and it doesn't even feel good. And that's where it becomes a problem, I think.
That's kind of weird, though. I mean, and sometimes, as I understand it, I'll have to be careful how I phrase this, but sometimes you don't even have a goal in mind. It's just the journey that you're enjoying, right?
It's literally like taking a completely empty tube of toothpaste, squeezing it for 20 minutes and realizing you don't want to brush your teeth. That's what it's like. It's a waste of time.
Have you run this by Dr. Drew yet, or any healthcare professional?
You know, it's funny. I've talked to my therapist many times, and I know what it is. It's just escape. And I like Dr. Drew. I really do. And he's a guy who I would sit and chat with about it. And I watched.
You should do his podcast. You know, he does a podcast all the time out here. While you're in L.A., you should totally get together with him.
If he would have me on, I would certainly do it. He's gotten a bad rap from a lot of people about, but people don't understand that the odds and stats of people relapsing are astronomical.
Yeah, that's what we think, is that he's really taking people at their lowest.
Yeah.
And the sickest.
And trying to turn that around
Yeah.
is an immeasurable task.
And I don't think he's capitalizing, because look at the tabloids. They capitalize every time Lindsay Lohan or Paris Hilton or somebody gets in trouble. So what is he capitalizing on, trying to help people? Like, I really like Dr. Drew a lot. And I would do his podcast if he'd have me.
We got to hook it. We'll have Dave try to hook that up before you leave here, Dave. So what does your therapist say if you don't mind sharing with that? What does he think is going on with you?
It's a she. I could never talk about that kind of sexual stuff with a man for some reason. I've had male therapists. This is what a zilch I am. Years ago, I was seeing a therapist in Highland Park, New Jersey, and he fell asleep in the middle of our session.
Oh, my God.
Oh, how humiliating. Thank God I wasn't doing stand-up. He just dozed off. I'm like, I hated your guts already. This just cemented the deal.
But you can't talk to a woman about it?
Yeah, it's more comfortable for me for some reason. Women have a different energy. Like, my trainers in the gym are women. Like, I appreciate a female energy than a male energy. I just don't like as much.
Is your female therapist attractive?
No.
Does that help?
Yes, because there's no sexual push and pull. There's no desire there. There's no hidden motive or agenda for me. She tries to get me to just do healthy things or to go to a 12-step thing for sexual stuff, which I have done, and it does help.
It does.
But it's so hard to not rush back into it because it just feels so good. Like, it really is a fun thing to do. I mean, when you're
not doing anything else. For God, you don't drink, you don't do drugs,
Yes.
and you don't eat too much.
Yeah, why not get a legitimate massage therapist and roll the dice? I don't gamble in Vegas. It's fun.
Everybody needs something.
You need something.
There's a tip. There's a way to turn a regular one into the happy ending one?
Yeah, it's a body language issue, which I'll be careful how I describe it. But it's a very, very much, you don't actually blurt it out because neither one of you don't know the other person, but it's all body language. And they're very intuitive massage therapists. They understand what you're saying. Like, if she's rubbing your hamstrings and you're like pushing your ass back a little, going, she gets, all right, I know what he's saying.
I never want to hear that sound again.
Yeah, it's really creepy. You're either having a stroke or you want something extra. So, they read it, and this way there's no embarrassment of you actually vocalizing it, and she'll either, say yes by going towards where you want her to or say no by going to your ankles.
What's your percentage of success?
Not high.
In that world.
No, not at all. 4% maybe. The Montreal Expos have more World Series than I have, the topical baseball reference. They haven't been a team since 1988.
We've talked. That's right. We've talked with our listeners who are massage therapists, and the ones that offer the extra services have kind of ruined it for the ones who don't, because every single day they have people walking in the door who just assume, hey, massage therapist, that means everything's on the table, and sometimes it's just not there.
No, most times it's not there, but you can always tell by how they dress. Like, if you walk in and she's got a mini skirt on, but if she's wearing a lab coat and she's dressed like a physicist, you're like, oh, this stinks. I went to
by her appearance that you're not going to try.
You know exactly.
Just forget it.
It's just not worth it.
Right.
And one time I walked into one here in L.A. I was shooting Lucky Louie, and I was out here for a while, and I saw a lot of them. And I walked into her house, and I went to use the restroom, and she was kind of cute. And there was an embroidery in her bathroom that said, "May you be in heaven a half hour before the devil knows you're dead." And I'm like, I have no shot. Nobody that mentions heaven and Satan in the restroom is going to help you get where you need to go.
Did you just leave?
No, I got the massage, and I realized she was a bore. She had like a long hippie skirt on. I'm like, this just sucks. But that's the price you pay.
Exactly.
You want to play in that world.
I think we've all learned a valuable lesson from Jim's appearance here today.
Yeah, and I'll never tell you on the phone because it's a crime, which it shouldn't be a crime, but it is. So it's kind of a fun way to go. And, look, I'm not hurting anybody, and it's like I'm not going to get somebody pregnant doing that. And I'm not going to catch anything doing that. So,
but with that 4% success rate, I mean, it's worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, 4 out of 10 times. I mean, wait, that'd be 40%.
That's 4 out of 100.
I meant 4 out of 100. Yeah, 4 out of 10 would be a great. That's Ty Cobb's numbers.
The special's called American Degenerate. I think you could already tell how funny it's going to be. It debuts next Friday, August 23rd on the Epix channel. And then I assume shortly thereafter, Jim, DVD release, I imagine, right?
Probably
People
a few
get a chance
months.
to buy it?
Yeah, 3 or 4 months. We give it a nice run on Epix, and then it'll come out on DVD or for foreign distribution or whatever.
Well, I don't know how often you get out to Southern California. I know you're very busy back east, but thanks for spending some time with Kevin and Bean today. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me, man. I really, really had fun with you guys. Thank you.
KROQ.
Is horrible and inexcusable, and I might have to go to therapy because of this.
The Kevin and Bean Show.